Let's not call it what it is. Norwich are a better team than Birmingham City.
Oh, of course they are.
In terms
Yeah.
of football, there's no point in denying it. Norwich on paper are a better team. And in fact, any other weekend, bar this weekend, I would go for a Norwich win. I really would. I think they're a better team. However, with the added elements of a sellout, their away form, I just think it's got all the makings. And you know this club, Dad, they don't do what we expect. We didn't beat Rotherham, we didn't beat Huddersfield. We're not expected to beat Norwich. I've just got a feeling we're going to pull a miracle out of the bag. So welcome back to Small Heath Alliance FC. And on Saturday, Birmingham City play Norwich City in a sold-out St.Andrews KnightheadPark. The place is going to be bouncing. Now, unfortunately, over the past several weeks, Birmingham City haven't given us much to cheer about as fans, only coming away with 1 point from 24th and 23rd. And this weekend, we play a very, very good Norwich team. But you might be surprised to know, actually, they're 19th in the away league table this season. And Blues, we've had 5 sellouts and 5 wins. But can we do it? Dad, I'm going to hand it straight over to you. Can we do it? And what are you expecting from this Saturday's game?
Firstly, can we do it? Yes, we can. What am I expecting from the game? As always, on last game of the season, when we need to get something out of the game, it's going to be tense. It's going to be nervous. We're all going to be looking at the other scores and listening for those noises in the crowds. And I'm sure it's going to be one of those days, really. We can do it. We can win at home. We can turn up as we did against Coventry, which we have referenced before. And I see Coventry as a very similar opposition in terms of their quality and style to Norwich. And we've proved that we can beat Coventry, but we've got to do it again. But this time, it's even more important because it is our last game of the season. And it literally is now. If we don't win, we are relegated. It doesn't matter. We can look at all the other results and talk about all the scenarios. And there's a video on our channel, which you guys may have seen that we published recently, that looks at all the teams in the mix with us. And we talked about their fixtures and what the possible outcomes would be. But all of that's completely irrelevant unless we win. So basically, if we win, then we can start to look at other results.
Yeah.
If not, we can't. It's a waste of time, isn't it?
Exactly, yeah. And Norwich are a good team. In fact, I mean, you've had 20 years more football experience than me, but Norwich have always been a pretty good team. They've always been, I think they were last in the Premier League in the 2019-2020 season, maybe, so a couple of years back.
Yeah, it's a few years ago, yeah.
But yeah, they've always been a good team in my lifetime, and they hold one of my best memories. That was the playoff final. Do you remember the Darren Carter penalty? That was against Norwich. And I always remember from that game, really weird memory. When we walked out the stadium, the Norwich fans were shaking our hands and giving us a clap and saying, "Well done, Birmingham." I'd never known that before. You know, I'm a Birmingham City supporter, so usually we edge on the side of hostility. So to see that was quite interesting. But Norwich are a good team. I think we're going to have a very, very tough Saturday. And, you know, conventionally, I would say this is a Norwich win. I think everything on paper points to Norwich being a better side than Birmingham City. However, when you include Norwich's away form, they're 19th in the away league this season, which is quite poor, really, for a team in the playoffs. And when you add in 5 sellouts, 5 wins, we need to win to survive. I think that's got the ingredients for a Birmingham City win, but it's going to be tight. It's going to be tense. I'm barely going to be able to watch it for 90 minutes if I'm going to be totally honest. But I think it's going to go down to the wire. I don't think there's going to be many goals in it. I'm thinking maybe a 1-0, a maximum 2-1. But yeah, as you say, Dad, we're going to hear those noises around the stadium, aren't we? There'll be cheers, there'll be hummings, there'll be ahhings. But yeah, I mean, it's going to be a tough game.
Well, for me, Matt, the first thing is I'm glad that we're at home. You know, I'm glad that this is our final game, is a home game, because obviously our away form has been appalling. And if this was an away game, you would really be very worried about what we could do. We are at home. We've got a sold-out St Andrews at KnightheadPark. The crowd's going to be bouncing, and we will get behind the boys. There's a bit of theory about what type of team Norwich will play, and I'll give you my theory. They think, well, obviously, they're not mathematically completely certain of the playoffs, but they are sort of because of the goal differences. You have to be a major goal difference swing for them not to be in the playoffs if they were to lose this game. I think they'll play a full-strength team
100%.
because I would, if I was David Wagner, you know, some people think, well, they're in the playoffs. They might want to rest a few of their best players for the playoff semi-final. But I wouldn't do that. I think that they probably want to finish 5th because look at the teams above them. Do they want to play Southampton or do they want to play Leeds? and that could be determined by the result of this match.
And Southampton aren't in great form, so they would want to play Southampton
so.
over Leeds. They're going to want to secure that 5th spot. I completely agree, because there's been theories on social media, will Norwich play a half-strength team or rest some players? Absolutely not. They're going to come at us for the win.
They will.
Because they're going to want to secure that playoff spot against Southampton, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But just want to come back to my, reference about their form away from home. And the only teams who have picked up less points than Norwich on the road, listen to this, I thought this was fascinating. Huddersfield, Sheffield Wednesday, Plymouth, us and Rotherham. That's it.
Yeah.
They are 19th in the away league table. And
so it's 6-6, won 6, drawn 6 and lost 10.
Don't get me wrong, that's not me saying that, we're going to automatically win because they're 19th in that table. That's just me pointing out that we do okay at home, especially when we have a full sellout. Their away form isn't great, and we have to fight and battle for everything. To me, it's shaping up like, if the players turn up and they fight like we know they can, example against Coventry, I think we will genuinely do okay. But let's get into the Norwich team, because they've got some really, really dangerous and good players to watch out for. So in their last 5 games, they've won 2 and drew 3. So they're undefeated in their last 5 games, which is really good. They average 47% possession, which I thought was quite low for a team like Norwich, but it is what it is. But when you've got players like Gabriel Sara, Jonathan Rowe, Josh Sargent, Sara is absolutely setting the league on fire, isn't he? 13 goals, but 12 assists. That is absolutely mind-blowing. Josh Sargent has got 16 goals and 2 assists, and Jonathan Rowe, 12 goals, 12 assists. And for me, I mean, I don't know what's happening with Jonathan Rowe. I don't think he was injured. He was injured
for a long time, but I've noticed in the last few games he's been on the bench and he's come on. He's come on around about 60 or 70 minutes. I always keep an eye out for him, because I think when we went to Carrow Road earlier in the season when they beat us 2-0, me and you were overly impressed with him. He was the one player that really stood out in their team. I think at that time Josh Sargent was injured, but Jonathan Rowe was playing, and but he's a great player. If they don't go up, they could potentially lose him. He's a top. Yes, they're top quality players, because I think a lot of players, a lot of good, big clubs will be linked with, particularly Jonathan Rowe. He's a really good player. They've also got Ashley Barnes as well, but I think he may be injured. I'm not sure. I think it's from what I've read, he could play, or he may be injured. He's the type of old style hustle and bustle centre forward, isn't it, that we often struggle with.
I think when you look at the Norwich team, though, if you look at stars or players in the Championship who could possibly make the leap up to the Premier League, in my opinion, it's Gabriel Sara and it's Jonathan Rowe. They're the two for me who are worlds above.
Do you know what as well, Matt?
They're brilliant players.
Just Sargent, I think he's a good player.
He is a good player.
I like his movement as well. He's a very intelligent player, Just Sargent, and I think when he was injured, they went through that period where they had a set of bad results. But since he's been back in the team, he's been scoring goals. And actually, to be there, he's missed quite a chunk of games, but he's still their top scorer. They're a team that's always tried to play attractive football. They don't mind shooting from distance. But they've got these individual players that can unlock teams, and that's where we've got to be careful. So whoever's picked in our team, which we'll come on to Birmingham City in a minute, I think they have to be, if they're playing or told to mark a man, they've got to be tight on them, because some of these players have the ability
they're skillful.
We've named a few already, but that you could look at that throughout the team actually. So our players have got to be on their guard.
Well, it's going to be the battle of the 4-2-3-1 as well. After doing my research, they've set up in that style 38 times this season, which is quite and Blues haven't moved from the 4-2-3-1 all season, have we? So it's going to be such a tight game. And I was on social media a couple of days ago, and there was a Norwich fan who was commenting on a few posts, and he said that they are vulnerable. This was from a Norwich fan directly. He said they're vulnerable down the wings if someone has a particularly creative and fast player. So I'm thinking that might open up the gates for Miyoshi, maybe Keshi Anderson on the left. I mean, they're not exactly electric, but on their day, they can unlock and they can open. I just hope they're on their game and we can try and punish them in those channels.
I think playing a team like Norwich would suit us more than a team that will sit back, because that's what Coventry did. They attacked us, and we were able to exploit the gaps and the vulnerabilities that they had. And I think that would suit us more. As good as Norwich are, it does open up opportunities for us. They do like attacking down the middle as well, or on the left predominantly. I mean, they can attack from anywhere, but that's where a lot of their goals have actually come from.
That's where their 2 goals at Carrow Road from us pretty much came across. The first one definitely came down the left, because I remember putting my head in my hands going, why haven't
well, it was their left or our left?
Their left.
Yeah, so actually, okay. So but also as well, if you remember as well, the first goal in particular at the Norwich game was a mistake from Bakuna. He'd just come on, and he let the player go, didn't he? And that resulted in the Jonathan Rowe
goal. That was
goal
Jonathan
as well.
Rowe, wasn't it?
Yeah. So they're a team we have to really, really watch. But ultimately, Matt, we can talk about stats and what their form is and what our form is, but effectively, this is now a cup final. It's the last game of the season, and I think with the crowd behind us, if we can definitely get a lead, I think we will. I think the crowd will be able to push us along. But we can't forget the fact that these are a team in 5th place, and that's not by chance. They're a good side, and we've got to be very, very careful because they can hurt us as well.
Yeah.
So on as much as we want to score goals, we've got to be very compact as well in the middle.
Yeah, because we're prone to sloppy moments, aren't we? And lapses in concentration. And again, against a team like Norwich, West Brom, Coventry, Leeds, they will punish you. So we need to be on focus for the full 90 minutes. And I agree, just coming back to that previous point, I mean, we said it on another video, if you've never been to St. Andrews and experienced sellout, it is unreal, isn't it? It really is. I know that, of course, we're going to be slightly biased on that with Blues fans, but it rocks. The tilt and bounces. It is such a wild atmosphere. And there's little things I love, and we haven't seen this for years because we had the Cop, which was out of action for quite some time, but I love
2.5 years.
2.5 years, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Thank you, previous owners.
Giving the left back and right back stick, in the heart, really. And so I don't just think a sellout helps in the context of getting behind our own teams. It intimidates the other team as well, doesn't it? So I think if we can get on Norwich and create a hostile environment, I think we'll genuinely do okay. I really do. Just like the Coventry game, and just like the previous sellouts, I think the fans have turned up and done their job, and we've brought the noise. And thankfully, they've won 5 games out of 5 when we've sold out. So, yeah. It's going to be tough, but let's talk Blues, Dad. How do you think we're going to set up?
Yeah, okay. Because this is an interesting one. This because the game is so important. We haven't got like a game where we can tinker around and do this and try it for another game because there is no other games after this. Firstly, just to remind ourselves, it is must win. A draw is no good, and obviously a loss is even worse. But both a loss and a draw result in us getting relegated, so it has to be a win. I've alluded to the fact already that we need to turn like we did against Coventry, and as I say, I do see a lot of similarities in the style of play between Coventry and Norwich. So we've got a blueprint there that we can follow. Yeah. And if I'm honest with you, I'd like to see the same starting lineup as we did against Coventry. We said that before. I noticed, in previous games that, particularly in the Rotherham game, that tinkered around with Burke, which didn't work, instead of Miyoshi. And in the last game against Huddersfield, who did he bring in? Tyler Roberts went back to the bench. Bakuna came back into the time, didn't he?
And he was poor.
And he was poor as well. So my preference would be to pick the same starting 11 as we did against Coventry. The only thing I would say is that I felt that Paik had a particularly bad game against Huddersfield. So if I was looking at that one position, that would be it. And I would suggest that if you're going to put somebody in there instead of Paik, I'd put Jordan James 100%. In the middle.
My 2 options were going to be exactly that. Yeah. Coventry game, blueprint for blueprint, keep it exactly the same. Tyler Roberts in that attacking mid and Paik down the middle. My only other option would be, 2 other options, sorry. So Tyler Roberts gets swapped for Jordan James, so Jordan James plays in the attacking mid directly. Yeah. Or because Paik not only has had a poor game against Rotherham, I think he's had a poor couple of months, really, if I'm going to be brutally honest. I mean, he had a stormer against Blackburn in his first game, and he had a couple of good games there, but since then he hasn't really been able to pick up that pace. So for me, if I'm doing my lineup, I would like Jordan James in the defensive mid and keep Tyler Roberts in the attacking mid. That would be my preference. Get Paik off the pitch. Yeah. And then go back to Keshi Anderson, Tyler Roberts, and Miyoshi in those attacking 3 feeding into Stansfield.
Well, that's interesting you said that because we haven't spoken before this video, and I've actually said exactly what you think because I thought bring Jordan Jack, but I think there's we need some form of bite alongside Sunjic, but somebody who's got the ability to move forward and play the ball, which Sunjic doesn't, which would work because Sunjic could be like a holding midfielder, break up the play, disrupt, do what he does. Giving Jordan James the licence then to move forward and play those balls through.
And Paik has been that player. He likes being front-footed. He likes going forward. His execution has just been very poor. He's gave it away. He's had a real lack of physicality, been shugged off the ball too easy for me, whereas Jordan James is quite matured this year, hasn't he? He's quite strong on the ball, to be fair.
Yeah, I think Paik needs a good pre-season, and I think because he's obviously, you can see there's quality in Paik, but he's not really adjusted completely to the league, I don't think, and that's where he struggled, I believe.
But if Rowett is standing by Paik, okay, that's fine. I still think then Jordan James has to go in the attacking mid because Jordan James can fire him in from
instead of Roberts.
Because he can fire him in from 20, 25 yards. However, I don't think Roberts is a terrible second choice, if I'm honest, because if you look at the Coventry game, he was the key going forward. His through balls, his vision. He wasn't shooting when Bakuna usually would. He wasn't trying to take it round a person when Bakuna usually would. He was quite he was quite level-headed. His decision making for the first time this season in the Coventry game was outstanding. He actually made the right decision. So if Tyler Roberts for me has to fill that attacking mid position, I'm happy with that. If Paik goes in centre defensive mid, I would pick Jordan James up there. If not, Jordan James drop backs to Paik, and then Tyler Roberts fills in that gap for me.
Okay, here's a question for you. Something that I've seen on social media. This is only just social media talk. There's no sort of any sort of serious outlet for this. But people have suggested that Mark Roberts might come back in the starting lineup instead of Sanderson. What's your thoughts on that?
It's a good question. I personally would pick Sanderson because I think Mark Roberts is a little bit clumsy and he can be a little bit mistake prone. So can Sanderson, and I called Sanderson out on the Huddersfield video for his positioning for that goal because it was terrible. Let's just call it what it is. I don't know. For me personally, I can't speak for all Blues fans. Sanderson would fill me with a little bit more confidence than Mark Roberts would.
I think so as well. I think people are suggesting maybe bringing Mark Roberts in because he's got the additional throw in if we need it. It's an extra ammunition. But what would worry me with him instead of Sanderson, I think Sanderson is faster than Roberts. And if they come at us at pace or play a ball behind, even though Roberts actually has got a quite quick, fast burst, but over distance he's slower. So I think Sanderson will probably be a better option for me.
Centre halves, you're talking defence. We've only conceded 1 goal in 3 games with Sanderson and Bielek. That's not a bad record. Yeah. So I feel like the defence have actually found their stride. It's
that's Rabbit.
Sort of. Rabbit, exactly.
That's Rabbit.
That screams Rabbit all over, 100%. Yeah. Where we lack is the creating chances, killer instinct, finishing teams off, putting the ball in the net. So for me, I wouldn't worry about the defence personally. I would keep Sanderson and Bielek. I think they would do a good job.
Totally agree.
For me, it's how we move forward.
Yeah, totally agree. And one final point for me about the team as well. I'm pretty sure that at some point, and I hope we see, is get Yuki on the pitch because it could be his last game. I hope not. Yeah. Could be his last game for us, and I think he deserves. It depends how the game's going, but I think we probably are going to need him. But he needs the reception that he actually deserves as well. Whatever the outcome of this match, he is a brilliant player for us, and we know that his contract's up in the summer. Yeah. So I think we'll see him, and I think he could imagine that. Yuki scoring the winner.
Keep us up.
93rd minute. Oh my word! Well, wouldn't that be? It's like Roy the Rover stuff, isn't it? It's amazing.
Well, he's a legend, isn't he? He's done it time and time again. Sort of got us out of a tricky spot, saved the club.
You hear all theories, don't you? I saw people on social media, Blues fans, like sort of like dreaming. Yuki gets through in the 94th, or Joe Bellingham scores the winner against Sheffield Wednesday. He does a little heart sign to the camera as well. It all goes through your head, isn't it? But do you know what? As long as at the end of that match, as long as the final whistles have all gone, as long as we've stayed up, no Blues fan's going to care how that's happened, really. And then, we need to draw a line under this season, then start to move on. So just a final thing for you, then, score prediction.
I was literally about to fire that back to you. I'm going to go, Norwich are going to go 1-0 up, and we're going to put it back 2-1.
Okay,
2-1 Blues.
Well, I've gone 2-1 as well. I don't know. I don't like them scoring first, but that's what happened against Sunderland, isn't it? They scored.
I've just got a feeling, and we're all going to get really down by about half time, and then by the time the final whistle goes, and we've won 2-1.
Don't say that.
And other teams around us have lost. So then, boom, we're going to have an elated experience. It's going to be. I think Saturday has the potential to be one of those. In 20 years' time, you're down the pub and you go, "Oh, where were you on that day? Yeah. Where were you when we survived this job?" I mean, I could be getting carried away.
Or where were you because we've messed it up completely?
100%. Yeah, we're in League 2.
But we, no. I think we both obviously have to be optimistic, and I think we can win at home only because we were down there against Coventry, and we know that we can beat teams higher up in the league at home with the full crowd. I mean, and this is so important.
Let's not call it what it is. Norwich are a better team than Birmingham City.
Oh, of course they are.
In terms of football, there's no point in denying it. Norwich on paper are a better team, and in fact, any other weekend bar this weekend, I would go for a Norwich win. I really would. I think they're a better team. However, with the added elements of a sellout, their away form, I just think it's got all the makings. And this club, Dad, they don't do what we expect. We didn't beat Rotherham, we didn't beat Huddersfield. We're not expected to beat Norwich. I've just got a feeling we're going to pull a miracle out the bag. Yeah,
and that's what we're all hoping for, isn't it? But let's see what happens, and let's turn up as we always will, and let's cheer the boys on.
Absolutely. So you just heard our thoughts about the game on Saturday, but as always, we'd love to hear from you. Blues fans, please drop us a comment on what your thoughts are for the game on Saturday. Are you just as anxious and as stressed as we are? Because there's no doubt that's going to be an incredibly nervy and cagey 90 minutes. And Norwich fans, if you've happened to stumble across this video, let us know your thoughts. What are your expectations for the game on Saturday? And if you like this video, please don't forget to give us a thumbs up and check us out on our social media channels on Instagram and on X. And if you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any future content all about Birmingham City. And me and Dad will see you on the next video.